Hey everybody, welcome to this week's Star Report. This is Jason and we are here at New Dimensions Crystals and Reiki in downtown Brenham, Texas, and the day is 4/12/23, so April the 12th, 23. It's a Wednesday. We do our report from Wednesday to Wednesday, and we usually start with the solar weather, and the solar weather has been weird. Imagine my surprise. Everything on this planet's weird these days, and so I'm going to tell you why it's weird or how the weird is affecting you. Um, we just had a coronal hole move through the Earth-facing disk, where the sun has a little hole in it and gives a extra plasma stream, and so that was hitting over the last couple of days. So if you felt a little bit of pressure or a little bit of unease or some kind of something's about to happen energy, that would be a feeling that the coronal hole would have been giving you. The sun has been reducing its solar flaring over the last couple of weeks, as you've heard in the report, but there were a couple of minor solar flares, and so minor that they were hard to track on the little graph that shows where they're going to hit or if they're going to hit the Earth. So there should be a couple of those giving us some minor glancing blows over the next couple of days, just little minor ones, so barely even a notice. But if you're sensitive and you've been paying attention, or you started to monitor yourself because you watch this report and you're paying attention to how your body feels when we talk about these certain things, you will feel a difference in the force if you're paying attention to these solar flares. And so the major thing that happened with that is also a star report kind of thing. So I'll sort of hit that and then get back into it. There was a major a volcano eruption in Russia yesterday. And that sort of happened prequel or right around the time when the Earth, the Sun, and Jupiter began to align. And so just sort of pay attention and there were a little bit of extra tremors in California, if any of y'all are out there. They wouldn't have been earthquakes. They would have been probably sort of minor rumblings that you probably barely noticed if you live there. But that volcano and that volcanic ash is moving towards Alaska and should start to hit Alaska, I think, into today and tomorrow. You'll start to see the smoke or the debris and the clouds coming towards you. So if you're up in that neck of the woods, and I don't know if any of my friends that I met in Alaska watch my report, but if they are, watch out for the air quality with the volcanic ash moving over into Alaska from Russia. Which brings us into today, Wednesday for the stars. And like I said, in the solar part of the report, yesterday into today, into tomorrow is the Jupiter, Sun, Earth alignment. And so Jupiter, that alignment's going to do a couple things, right? That magnetic sort of alignment does activate the sun, right? So there could be extra solar flaring. There are plasma filaments, which was the word I couldn't remember last week, filaments, which are not flaring stuff, but they're these little filaments that can sort of fly off. They're sort of debris heavy. And so there's a couple of those Earth facing, and there are a couple of small sunspots that could be triggered by this alignment over the next couple of days. So watch out for that. And like I said, so a coronal hole is that little bit of pressure, and then solar flaring is a little bit of brain fog, and then starts to trigger any kind of imbalance you might have chemically in the mind, right? So emotional imbalance could be triggered, emotional disorders, chronic diseases like Lyme disease and stuff can sort of flare, and then heart palpitations could be a thing. So pay attention for that stuff happening during this Jupiter Sun Earth alignment. And just for giggles, the things that happen or the things associated with Jupiter is usually abundance and justice and wisdom, right? So look with wise eyes at the world and sort of see where you are abundant and see a long game of justice, right? So the planets are large, time is expansive, and so sometimes justice moves slow, but sometimes the beginning of justice can be noticed before action actually happens. So pay attention to that. And so this energy of today with the sun and the earth and Jupiter aligned is really about finding your own inner power, right? So that power of Jupiter to have this abundance, and it could be abundance of love, happiness, financial gain, abundance of justice, right? Some things that you've been waiting on being settled or coming to fruition or solution could be happening in your life today. And then just wisdom, right? To sort of see how things might have seemed like they were going wrong, but there was a wisdom in the stars and the cosmos in creator to sort of have led you to a place where you're having these aha moments. And these could be synchronicities, these could be sudden releases of, oh, that doesn't bother me anymore because you've decided something new, or you've put a new practice into your life like breath work, or you've gone to an energy worker like myself, or you've gotten some intuitive help like from a tarot reading or a clairvoyant. And so sort of look for those kinds of energies to be the thing that you're experiencing with that energy, that alignment. And then also, it almost feels like a time shift for me today, especially yesterday. I didn't feel it so much, but today it almost feels like it's a different reality. Like I woke up and I'm on vacation. Not that there's nothing to do, but it's like there's a haze over the reality. And so if you're having that experience today too, that is Jupiter and the sun and all kinds of other things that are happening or about to happen. So sort of work into your own power and then notice this difference. And then while you're in this different thing, sort of when you go on vacation, sometimes you're governed by schedule or budget or somebody else's likings, right? So forget all that. And so when you're in this newness today and feeling your power, sort of choose what's best for you. What would you like to do? What direction do you want to move your life in? And sort of choose that, right? And the people that you're connected to or you want to stay connected to, they're going to move along with that, right? They're going to choosing for themselves. And so when we all choose for our highest good, then we can move in a general direction together rather than being stagnant and starting to be disappointed in your own movement and looking for things to blame that might not be coming along with you. So that's the energy of Wednesday. Oh, that's a little heavy, but it gets better. So Thursday, tomorrow, which would be the 13th, we're 1 week until the full solar eclipse. So that's going to be a new moon and a full solar eclipse. And so the energy when that starts to build up, right, is really a speed up, right? It's almost like you're going downhill, or this energy of the alignment is we're at the top of the roller coaster and we're fixing to speed up, right? But speed up in a good way, not towards fear or destruction, but towards goals and higher consciousness, higher octaves of our beingness, right? So rather than having this one monotone life that we've been living, we're living at a higher tone. So sort of look to that to start to life speed up, act now for any changes that you're trying to get. Lifetimes, right? So a lot of this energy is a lot of lifetimes that are merging, right? So that could be you've reinvented yourself several times in this current physical existence, right? You've lived one life in this physical reality, but it's also the merging of our collective lives, right? So for those of you who believe in reincarnation, and for those of you who might not know that you believe in reincarnation, there is the idea of reincarnation in Christian scripture, so pay attention to that. But this is sort of lifetimes that you've lived before, lessons that you've learned, things that you've achieved, or and skills that you've developed are starting to merge into this oneness right now. And that's really going to sort of peak during the solar eclipse next week. And so some of the things that are sort of coming to fruition of that is Saturday after Thursday, right? I think that's everything for Thursday. Yeah. Saturday, we have the end of the last shadow of Chiron's retrograde. And so old wounds will heal, right? So kind of like that energy that we were talking about, you've moved past some certain things, now choose for yourself. Like that really sort of, if you have any familial strife, or you have some old hurt from a relationship or a parental loss or a relationship, that kind of energy that seems like it might have been holding you back, or you've been waiting for it to subside to sort of move forward, that starts to release on Saturday. So pay attention for Saturday to be a good day. If you're not out doing something, take some time for yourself. Sit under a tree, put your feet in the ground, let that stuff just fall right off, the rest of it off the body into the ground. The earth can handle your strife. Which moves us into Sunday. I don't know what day Sunday is. I have to count calendar days. But anyway, Sunday, the moon is going to be closest to the earth all month. So really when we have to work with lunar energy, it's about creating the space for our action to take place. And so when we're working on ourselves or we're doing things, we're trying new things, we're very tempted in this world that we live in to get immediate results, or when we don't get immediate results to try something else. And so this idea of allowing the moon to help you create space for your actions to grow into would be this could be not a wait and see, but this could be a actively monitoring how it feels and allowing the choices that you make starting today, Wednesday, with this alignment and stuff and moving towards the eclipse. Sort of that would be the day to sort of allow space to sort of observe, is this moving? Is this, do I have any tweaks? And then just giving it space to move rather than agitation that you made a choice today, Wednesday, and nothing's happened by Sunday. The moon being closest to us is really about creating that space, that stage, that allowance in the cosmos for your new choice, your new you to grow into, almost like it's a balloon and you're filling it with your vibrancy, your consciousness. So look to that on Sunday. And then what do we have? Then we're moving into the end of the week that we talk about, because we go from Wednesday to Wednesday or Wednesday to Tuesday. But sometimes I tell you what's happening the Wednesday after. We move into Tuesday of next week. The Aries stellium returns, right? So we've been in the Taurinian stellium and it's gone away, and then Tuesday, or is going away, and then Tuesday with Aries stellium returns, and that's going to be the moon, Chiron, Jupiter, and the sun, right? So that energy of Chiron and Jupiter is going to be increased through that stellium, right? And we know the Aries is the higher mind, the upper mind, the golden fleece, right? Jason and the Argonauts searching for the golden fleece, or the higher mind, the higher consciousness, which has relation not just to earthly things, but to heavenly things or to spiritual things, right? And so that energy on the solar eclipse, right? Because the solar eclipse is Wednesday. So that energy opens up the crown to sort of receive that solar eclipse energy. And right, and so the moon is about the creating a space, and the sun is that active sort of laser ray of energy, of prana, of plasma that's sort of being broadcast at us. And then Jupiter is, what's it giving us? It's giving us abundance, it's giving us wisdom, right? So pay attention to that. And then Wednesday, right, that shifts out after that, and Wednesday moves into the Taurinian stellium, right? And so we're in our higher mind, and the Taurinian stellium is really here at the brainstem, or the base of the skull, base of the brain, right here at your polyvagal cluster. And that's really about choosing your direction, right? So if you haven't made any choices moving towards this, it's kind of the energy Wednesday when the eclipse gets here of what you, if you haven't chosen yet, the universe is going to choose for you, and or you're locked into whatever you're living at becomes a little bit harder to change, right? So Taurus and the Taurinian thing is, the symbolism is the bull, right? And so once you get a bull moving in a direction, it's really hard for it to shift, and it really starts to barrel down, right, the pathway. And so this is really the energy of Wednesday in the eclipse, with this Taurinian stellium coming in, is really what energy do you want to embody. So I don't want to say that you have to choose something this weekend, but really sort of spend the time on what do you want to manifest, right? So it's going from the higher mind into the Taurinian stuff, and then it's into the body, right? So that's going to start to go into the heart chakra, the throat chakra, and you're going to be able to speak more truth. You're going to be able to embody in your heart what you really are. And then, with your solar plexus, you're going to be able to manifest it more. And then you're going to be creative once it gets to your sacral chakra. How do you create that? How do you find people to be a part of your ideas that you're working on, or how can you be partners with those people? And then that energy is going to move on down into the root chakra, right? And so this is following the zodiac, right? So the zodiac, as the months go on, right? So you're really setting the stage for a whole year. We've been in Aries, right, which is the beginning of the zodiac, and we're moving that down into our body about what kind of transformation are we going to make, and just the energies are sort of hitting it right at the transitional times that are working very particularly for us and not against us this cycle. And so, and we also had Pluto the other week move into Aquarius, right? And so that idea of generational stuff, right? So this is a generation of energy, and we're right at the beginning of it. So 20 years is a generation. And then it's the first time that that energy's been available to us for 220 years, right? So right around the time 1790s, where America solidified around the Constitution we currently have, right? And so everything that's sort of been the Western drive or the universal world culture is at a reboot, right? And so you might see that as a negative, where you're seeing what you grew up in, how you thought you were going to live, sort of collapse culturally, maybe even monetarily, maybe even familially, right? So, maybe you're not having large gatherings of family at holidays anymore, and that's sort of detracting, but there's something brand new. And so this is sort of a choice point where what are we going to create in this new world, this new consciousness, right? That doesn't mean we can't bring the old things or that our guiding principles of, love your neighbor as yourself kind of stuff doesn't move with us, but it has to be reshaped. It has to have a new vessel, right? You can't put old wine into new wine, or new wine into old wineskins. There we go. That's the phrase. So you need to create a new vessel for yourself, for this new energy to be in. And so what are you trying to be? I think that's all that's happening. That seems like a lot. Seems like maybe all of a sudden I got on a soapbox and started to preach, but I digress. So that sort of leads us into breathwork returns this Sunday here at the shop. So go ahead and go online. If you scroll even all the way down to the bottom and sort of says the calendar, like, my hours, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. On the Sunday thing, it has breathwork happens on Sunday. So if you click on that, you can go right to the purchase for this week. Those are only $22 to come here and breathe. And of course, breath is moving plasma and energy and prana through the body. So all of these things that are happening in the cosmos, if you're having a difficulty moving them through or incorporating those things into your physical form, or your physical form is degrading because of all the extra stress, breathing can start to help re-regulate the body. So that would be a good thing to do. newdimensionscrystals.com is where that's at. And you can either book on the breathwork thing right next to the video, or if you scroll all the way down to the bottom and look at the calendar, it says breathwork on Sunday. You can click on that, and that'll take you right to the page to purchase the $22 ticket for breathwork, usually in the bigger cities and in places else, usually around $45 or $50. And of course, if you don't like breathing in groups, or somehow you need some special attention, you can book that during my regular session hours, which you can also find online at newdimensionscrystals.com. And we can do a private session. We can work on something in particular. We can breathe through your challenges of breathing and work through that. And of course, always when you get to newdimensionscrystals.com, at the top of the page, there is book now, and you can book those other energy sessions, right? If you're just sort of feeling like you're sort of clogged up with all the things you're trying to release, you can sign up for a cleanse. If you feel like you're just sort of disconnected and discombobulated and don't know where to go next, you can sign up for the connect. And then of course, those would be the main two. You could also sign up for integrate, which is a thought processing session where we sort of align the mind and the soul together. And then of course, I do offer quantum healing hypnosis technique, the Dolores Cannon stuff. And you can sign up for that online too. I think that's everything. Until next time, many blessings.